Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am here with YouTube sensation Anthony LaRosa. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, but now you're putting pressure because I don't think I'm a sensation whatsoever. So now you're putting some expectations I don't know if I'll be able to live up to.
Well, I'm hoping people will have seen some of your channel. If they're MLS fans, they absolutely should have done. Let's start there, actually, because looking at your videos, which is obviously where I found you initially, they are fantastic. They're like documentaries. They're not just sort of a fan channel. They are properly produced. I mean, have you got a background in this?
No, not really. I'm still a young guy going to college right now, or uni, as what you'd say.
Yeah.
And I have an interest, always had an interest in videos, cameras, and stuff. But when I decided to kind of do these documentaries type things that I've done a few times already on my channel, it was just me wanting to kind of display some skills I already had and do it in a platform that I really find interesting. So it's all a one-man show. It's me, and I have two small little cameras that I take around with me. And I've been able to do some amazing stuff in cities like Nashville, Charlotte, just St. Louis I went to. But I'm really happy that you call them these documentaries type style videos, because that's what I want to show people. And I don't want it to seem like a typical YouTube video. I want it to be something that is really a high production piece, as much as I could do. And the plan is to get into this field. And these are just building my portfolio to show up to a team. So hopefully there's a team in MLS that's looking for a guy to make those kind of videos. I mean, I'm a one-man team doing it. So if I get some, extra pieces and some people help me out, I feel like I could really excel.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, the case in point is it's one of the most recent ones, the St. Louis one, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the B-roll footage you've got of all the landmarks and stuff there, you've really got this all in one package there, and it's obviously really informative, as well as very professionally put together and entertaining as well. So yeah, you've got the skills there. You're going to do a lot more of those.
The plan is, yes, there's a lot of teams in MLS now. So we got 29 teams. So there's a lot of different cities that I could visit. So I'm doing as much as I can. I'm hoping to get to maybe one more by this season. Again, I'm on a budget. I don't have any sponsorships or anything. So, it's kind of what I can afford, but I love doing it. And it's something I'm really proud of every time I make one of those videos. They take a lot of time writing the whole script, going to the city, to St. Louis. For me, it was about a 7-8 hour drive. It was raining the whole time there. So, in the US, things are a bit farther away from each other. So, it's a big time commitment, but man, I enjoy every moment. Just being able to experience the soccer or football culture in MLS is something, I definitely don't take for granted. And I'm really, thrilled that I've been able to experience stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that would be like me driving up and covering Celtic or Rangers or something like that from here. It's a serious distance, but what a commitment! It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait to see more of those. I think they'll be very good. So take us back. I mean, I know you have a video on your channel, which I recommend people look, about why I love MLS, and that takes us through your sort of origin story. Actually in a good amount of detail. But give us a sort of précis version now. What was your start in soccer?
Well, from an American point of view, especially, I think of like my generation-ish as like the first generation fans. You had a lot of people following the sport before, but I feel like the youth didn't really buy into it until around this time, when it's so big and it's out there public for everyone. So for me, I grew up in a family up in the northern part of Ohio, 2 hours away from Columbus, which I'll talk to in a minute. And my family didn't play soccer. They didn't watch any soccer. They knew nothing about it. And it actually all started because I was playing baseball, and, the classic American pastime. And I was scared of that ball coming at me. So I had to quit that. Dude, it is terrifying. When they started pitching it at you, at first off a T-ball, I was great. As soon as that ball was in the air flying, I was out. So my parents just made me play soccer, because that is the typical, young kid try out soccer. And it's usually just a quick, one and done thing. You get into other sports, football when you're old enough and everything like that. But for me, I stuck with it, surprisingly. And, it was a path that I didn't see coming. When I first started playing soccer, I remember my parents always telling me about how I cried that I had to go to my first practice and I didn't want to go. And now looking at me, I'm making these commitments to go to cities, halfway across the country just to see it happen. So it started with that. World Cup 2014 came around, and that's a big moment for any soccer fan, is they're going to see that and, really feel the atmosphere of the sport. So got into that. FIFA 14, easy game to buy for a young kid, and got into knowing all these clubs. Arsenal, I love their badge and everything, but I fell in love with Man City. And it was Man City, and I knew Columbus was there too from the game. And I would play my player career mode with the Crew, but none of my friends knew about the Crew. Nobody at school knew about the Crew, and not many people knew about the Premier League either. But in my little soccer group, they did know about the Premier League. They Manchester United's, the Arsenal, Chelsea's. So it was like, well, why should I really buy in and follow Columbus Crew when who am I going to connect to about it? And so instead I went with Man City. And around this time, I'm 13, 14 years old. So again, I got into the sport really late, but that was my first introduction, is getting into these European teams, because the Crew had no presence where I was from. And again, I'm in Ohio, which is where Columbus is, but I'm 2 hours away. So, I follow the team. I still got their jerseys. I'm a huge jersey guy, which I saw on your channel. I watched your video of the new swag you picked up. I really rate it. But I would get their jerseys. I'd see the social media posts, but especially as a young kid whose parents didn't care, it was hard for me to watch the games on television or stuff like that. So I had to get a little bit older until I could start being a little bit more independent. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to go out of my way to watch the Crew. I want to see what it's like. So watching games here and there. 2015, big MLS Cup run. I remember watching the final, and I don't know if you've seen the highlights of that, but we had a little error in the first few minutes that caused us a really early conceding a goal, and then later on it didn't happen for us. So we lost that one. That hurt me. But after that, I just kept buying in, getting into MLS. And it was honestly around 2017, 2018 where I fully got into it. And I think 2020, during that pandemic, is where I really developed, like, okay, I really enjoy this league. I was watching guys like Danny T. Radio, who you've probably seen. And
absolutely,
like, I want to do what he's doing, because he is pushing the league forward. And, I'm so lucky now where I have a really good relationship with Danny, and he's kind of taken me under his wing of, knowing MLS and talking about it and creating content for it. So, at this point, there was a while where I was driving 2 hours to Columbus and 2 hours back in one night on a school night just to see this team. And now, luckily, I'm going to college down in Columbus, so 10 minutes from the stadium. And I'm just bought in now. I think the sport in America is just on the rise, and I'm so excited to see what happens. And, a reason I love MLS, when I talk about it in the video, is because I want to be a part of something. I could follow teams in Europe, but I don't have that connection to them necessarily. Yeah. But for Columbus, we talked before we started recording about this jersey. I had a player give me and my girlfriend a shirt, and that's a type of connection I cannot get with, watching a team through a television screen, across the whole ocean. So I want to be a part of something that's growing. I want to help it succeed. And, whatever I can do to promote the game and get other people to follow is something that, I'm going to take with a lot of pride.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you collect those sort of moments over the time, don't you? And when you're in that sort of in the stadium with your people, there's nothing like that feeling of belonging to something bigger. Exactly. And all wanting the same thing. It's a proper family sort of thing, isn't it? And then I suppose when you're looking at it from a more sort of a step back, if you like, you're watching it on TV and stuff, it becomes a bit more like an entertainment show rather than something that you're involved in, and it's more sort of visceral and emotional.
Exactly. When you're watching, I think the big thing about football is that you get to know the players and you get to know the people, and the community aspect of the sport is something I think is unrivaled across other sports, especially, I know MLS is a franchise-based league, but I feel like there's much more of a community-based and fan power-based than, you see in the NFL or the NBA. I see, Columbus, for example, they have a great supporters group known as the Nordeca, and they host these great fundraisers. They support the community. They fight for, equal rights amongst all the supporters. And it's something I feel like I don't necessarily see. And maybe it's because I don't watch the other American sports, but, it's a huge community aspect. And I think that's a big takeaway from watching football. Therefore, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to reap the benefits of being in such a supporter culture sport.
Fantastic, absolutely, yeah. We've seen that at a few different clubs that there are groups that come together to do something really, really good. They've got a common interest, but because there is so many of them, they can really take action in certain areas and make differences in those communities. And I think certainly in this country, often at the lower league levels, sometimes the football club is what the whole community is based around. It's absolutely pivotal because your position within the club or attached to the club or going to the club is the whole sort of work and social support that people have. I mean, it's absolutely intense.
Absolutely. And even going on that, away from MLS, there's so many teams in the United States that are in these lower leagues. And, it's a shame, Pro Rel is another conversation, but it's a shame they can't get to these heights. But, from where I'm from, Cleveland, Ohio, they have a team, Cleveland SC. And, I love trying to support them as much as I can because, again, those lower league teams, they need their supporters. So I make sure to buy the shirts, buy the tickets, invest in the team just to show them that support because, yeah, I love MLS, but I want the sport to succeed everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's the NPSL, in the USL leagues, anything. I want the sport to really thrive in this country. And that's, my way of doing it is supporting these clubs and investing in them and showing them that, they have a fan base that really cares.
Absolutely. So you talked about the promotion relegation thing there. What is your view on that coming into MLS? Do you think it should be or should stay as it is?
It's such a touchy subject. And I think it is a great idea. The issue is with how MLS set itself up in the beginning, it's so difficult to, implement that into the league because you have teams paying that $400 million price tag at the moment to get into the league. And how are you going to tell those teams that now they can be relegated? So I think it is a great idea. And I think in the end, I would love that. But at the moment, I don't see any way that MLS could transfer over to that. Now, for the USL Championship 1 and 2, I know that their end goal is to create promotion relegation within their system. So I don't know when they're going to be able to get that done. And I know it's a huge project, but I think that's something to watch out. But for MLS, it is so difficult to be able to just switch it like that because they needed that franchise expansion kind of project at the beginning to get the league to start because, there were so many leagues before MLS that, floundered in this country. And that was a way to ensure financial stability for these teams. So it was great then. And I think it's still great now because you look at, how much the teams are worth in MLS and how they're profitable compared to, some teams in Europe really struggle if, they can't afford things. You see like Derby County, really struggling down in the lower leagues because of investing and not having that financial security. So there are pros and cons to Pro Rel. I think, again, in the end, I would love to see it, but I just don't see how we can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally take your point. I don't think anybody who's in charge of one of those clubs is going to say, yes, I'm up for being relegated. let's go for that. But yeah, and I think there's also no hurry to do it. It's not a broken product at the moment. It's fantastic and it's unique. I think that's one of the reasons it drew me in because it is not like anything else in the world. So yeah, we can keep it how it is for now, I guess. So what are some of your highlights thinking back? I mean, you can choose from crew memories or the wider MLS memories from growing up, from following MLS. What are some of your highlights?
Well, I think, I mentioned the 2015 final for Columbus Crew, and that whole playoff run was really amazing for me because, again, it was a time where I was interested in the Crew, but I wasn't fully bought in. And watching the team we had, like the Kai Kamaras, who's been to every MLS team nowadays, and the guys like Ethan Finley, Justin Miram, who were just these really core people in Columbus. Watching them succeed, it was really amazing to see. And again, that final, if you haven't seen it, you got to look up the highlights of it because we lost 2-1. The first goal was a goal in the first, I think, 30 seconds when the ball was passed to Steve Clark, our goalkeeper, and he got tackled on the end line. And the second goal is argued because the ball was out of bounds. There wasn't VAR at that time. So the ball's out of bounds. So we gave away 2 really bad goals and we lost it at home 2-1. So that
that's
is a tough memory. Yeah. But, it's something I remember. It's something I could still feel. I remember I had one friend at that time who watched MLS. And I remember as soon as Steve Clark let that first goal in, I remember texting him and we were just, in tears at that moment. But going back to some happier memories, I mean, I've been lucky to see 2020 Columbus Crew pull off the championship, and that run, especially during the pandemic when everything was you didn't know what was coming, to be able to look forwards to the Crew playing after they returned to play and seeing them in that championship run was amazing. And I remember at that time watching the videos that the Crew was posting and seeing our coach Caleb Porter talking to the players, how confident he was. And I remember sitting there he sounds like he's really going to do this. He's going to win this. And a little fun fact is Caleb Porter, who won for us in 2020, managed the Portland Timbers, who beat us in 2015. So it was another little cute story tale that came around. But those are two great Crew memories. And then if I want to go to the full league, I mean, just recently, last year, I went to Charlotte for their inaugural game in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
And just the atmosphere there was amazing. Again, I love seeing the sport thrive in the United States. And when I went to Charlotte, walking around that city, everybody had a Charlotte shirt on. And, it's different because, in Columbus, we've been around for 26 years. So there is that excitement, but there's nothing like a team getting their first game in their city. So just spending the whole day walking around the stadium, everybody's wearing the merchandise, kids of all ages. There's kids playing football outside the ground. And it was just like this moment for me where I was like, wow, this is what the future is. And the more, without Pro Rel, the more teams that can expand into MLS, the more people that get to experience that. And, after going to St. Louis, I'm in one of their big supporter group chats. And I saw a post the other day that was a kid in his St. Louis jersey. And the dad said, I tried getting my kids into soccer for so long and they kind of fell out of it. But now that St. Louis is here, all he wants to do is play soccer. And I think that's the great part about MLS is where when a city gets a team, there's such a bigger impact than just that city getting a team. Yeah. Kids are getting to see this sport. They're getting to experience what it's like. And as we talked about, being a part of that community, I mean, that's how you're going to get those young kids who grow up their whole life supporting a team and get their kids to support the team. That's when you get that generational fan base. And I think that's what MLS really, really needs. So, going to Charlotte, that was a great memory. Also went to Nashville for their opening at Geodis Park, their new stadium.
Oh, fantastic.
I've been around, man. I am so lucky to experience all these historic moments in MLS. And, every single one, I'm just blown away by what they've done with their clubs. And especially for Nashville, they're a team that started down in the lower leagues. And eventually they were fan created, started in the lower leagues, and eventually found owners that bought them that expansion spot, and they were granted that. And so there's a real community base in Nashville because they've been with the team for so long. Other teams, they're just created one day, which, it is, the uglier side of, MLS, but it can't hide from it. So seeing teams that can start in the lower leagues and find their way up to MLS, that's another great thing. So seeing a 30,000 capacity stadium, the largest soccer specific stadium in the United States in Nashville, Tennessee, I mean, that is, it blows you away when you go there. You're seeing it and you're seeing these fans who have a true connection to that club. I have a wealth of, memories of MLS, and I hope, it just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I did an interview with Uncle Mad on Nashville, and you could see that the passion from him and what he was saying about that stadium. It seems absolutely amazing. It's one of the ones that's really on my list to go to because it just seems like a mind-blowing experience to go there. Good stuff. So when you think about the league and how it has evolved, do you think it can get much bigger? Obviously, we are expecting one or two more expansion teams. What do you think the future holds for it?
So it's another interesting subject because Don Garber is, very, very weird about how he explains what the expansion process is like. Because before it was like, oh, we're going to get to 28 teams and that's it. Then we get a 29th team and a 30th team that was taken away from Sacramento and is in the air at the moment. But then it was, we're going to get 30 teams and stop. And now I think at this last state of the league or big media thing he had, he said, I always say never. So you don't know what's going to happen. I think if MLS really wants to buy into the closed market, only franchise based, I do think it would be beneficial to get as many teams as possible, just because the more teams, the more hotbeds you discover. I look at Atlanta, Georgia. Nobody thought that they were a soccer city. They're brought in the league, and they're one of the most exciting fan bases and teams out there. So you never know what you're going to find. So I think it would be better for them to keep growing, even though I think it is a lot of teams. It is going to be difficult. But, I think there's some things you just got to take and leave when you're deciding on that certain path. If you're going to be that close franchise, maybe you have to have a lot of teams, which isn't the best, but I think it's going to help the sport the most. And then I'm just so excited for 2026 when we host the World Cup, because I really think you're going to see a boom come out for American soccer, and just having the whole world experience that too. I think it's going to be a great moment for us.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything in my power to be there for at least one or two of the matches over there. I don't care who I see. I just want to experience it.
Exactly. Hey, same here. I'm going anywhere I can. I think the closest host cities to me are Philadelphia is where I think I'm going to be looking at, but whoever's playing there, I'm there. I'm going to do what I can, because I haven't been able to be at a World Cup, and I think that is going to be a huge milestone in my passion for this sport.
Absolutely, and it's going to birth so much more. It's going inspiration, around soccer in the US, and then MLS is going to just grow from there on as well. So it's going to be a beautiful moment, I think. Yeah, I'll see you for a beer, okay?
Yeah. I'm ready. Hey, if you come, unfortunately, Columbus isn't a host city, but if they were, you'd come right here. I'd get us hooked up with everything, and we'll be set, man. I'll be waiting.
Good stuff. I'll hold you to that. So let's talk a bit more frivolous rather than important now. Through your obviously experience with Columbus throughout your whole life, I guess, through your childhood, what are the best shirts the crew have had?
Oh man, I wish I had all of mine, because I'm a huge jersey collector.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to. I won't put a number on it, but I have every shirt in the crew's history. I'll say that. Every single shirt from 1996 to now, I have.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I don't have them all with me.
You have them in different size, like small and then the slightly larger from when you grow bigger.
I have a few, but luckily I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 6'3". So
yeah.
I've been big for quite a long time. So when I first got into the team, I was already wearing larges, and so I'm still on that path at the moment. But if I'm thinking of the best shirts, you obviously have to give a shout out to the 1996 shirts, the black and the white, just classic shirts. And then I'm trying to think of one of my favorites. What year it exactly is? I want to say it's 98 or 99, but it's this white one. It has a collar, and it's got 3 yellow vertical stripes on it. And I think that one's just super classy. It's kind of a look that we haven't seen since then, but it's a really great shirt. It also has that 90s-ish feel to it. Yeah. If I'm thinking more modern, obviously the 2020 shirt, when we won the championship, the black one, it's got the 3 stripes on the shoulder, across the shoulder. That one's beautiful. And then I think, we've been gifted with such a great color scheme of yellow and black. So everything really looks good. But I would have to say, I think it was 2011 or 2012, we had this yellow one with a collar on it. And that was, one of our only modern ones that had a collar. And I just remember Pipa Higuain wearing that one, and how great he was chipping the ball. And that was one of the first seasons he was in Columbus. So that one also stays with me. I wish I could show you them. I would have pulled some out if I knew.
If you want to send some pictures over, I'll overlay them. But otherwise, I'll source them and find them.
I'll send you. I know I got the white one with me, the white one with the yellow stripes, and I think I have a few others. I'll send you some over.
That would be fantastic. I'd love to see it. Like I say, I'm a real nerd when it comes to these. I just go back through clubs' histories and go, "Oh, that's cool." I'll see if I can find one of those on eBay.
Absolutely,
it is great fun, I have to say. So, looking at this season, what's the prospects for the crew this season? What represents success, do you think?
So we've had a rough time over the last 2 years, no playoffs, but this year we have a new coach in Wilfred Nancy, who did great things in Montreal last year. And something I feel is the most important part about the crew this year is that we got rid of a lot of the core guys here, like Pedro Santos, who went to DC, and Artur, he went to Houston. So we have a lot of missing spots, and instead of looking out to bring in more guys, Wilfred Nancy looked at Crew 2, which is a whole nother topic about MLS Next Pro. Columbus didn't have really a developmental team that was in their city until then. So I think Crew 2, they won MLS Next Pro Cup last year. They were the inaugural team to win that, and we had really good stars on that team. And so Wilfred Nancy being really, good with the youth and wanting to bring guys up instead of going out to bring in more talent, he just promoted the young guys. So, guys like Philip Quinton, Mo Farsi, Jason Russell Rowe, those are all guys who played very vital parts in that MLS Next Pro Championship. And now we're seeing them getting a lot of playtime in MLS, for Philip Quinton especially. He didn't start last night, but the first 5 game weeks, he was in the starting lineup, played a full 90 minutes, even got his first goal. And then I'm also going to hark back to the game against Atlanta, 6-1 last weekend. I think every single player in that lineup scored their first goal for the team. So that was Max Arfston, who was a young guy. Ada Morris, who's one of our big young talents as well. He didn't play for the Next Pro team. He's, been with the first team for a while now, but he got his first goal.
He was good. I saw him. Yeah.
Philip Quinton got his first goal, and I'm kind of blanking on the others. Christian Ramirez got his first goal, but he's a more developed player. But, we've bought into the youth, and I think it's when I was coming in the season, I was like, okay, this is either going to be really good and really bad. And I think we're in the middle at the moment. I think they're still developing. You can't put so much pressure on them. I think this is a long-term project for Wilfred Nancy. I really think that when he gets his style in place, we will look really good. And to be fair, we have over the last 2 games really attacking styles of play. But I think the success will be just to make the playoffs. I'm not putting too much, pressure on the guys because I know that MLS is such a tight league. It's very minimal with the parity and the salary cap. There's very small differences between each team. So I just want us competing. I want us winning at home, which is what we're doing so far. 3 wins so far. And just fight and get into the playoffs, because I think that will, develop those younger guys with a little bit more, heart, a little bit more characteristic to them. And that's all I need from them. Get in the playoffs, and you never know what's going to happen when you get there. And I think with Wilfred Nancy, our play style and his message to the players is only going to get better and better as the season develops. So around that playoff time, there is a very good chance that we might be just hitting our stride.
Absolutely, yeah. With the young players coming through, they develop so quickly that you think actually this could be their perfect moment. I mean, Russell Rose already come up in 2 of my videos, I think, so far. He's one to watch. But absolutely, from my point of view, just seeing this guy going, okay, wow, yeah, this is one to take notice of from my point of view. That's fantastic. I think the MLS Next is amazing. I've got a video on it coming up soon, just outlining it. But it's a brilliant system for bringing through the youth players, and it adds another dimension so you can watch, and then you can see, okay, this guy's come up through. He's a rumored good prospect. You start hearing more and more, and then he makes a few minutes for the first team, and it just adds another buzz to the team, doesn't it?
I know that's a story, because you want to see guys who there are a lot of Columbus-based guys who are in our Crew 2 system who want to come up, and that just brings back into the community and being part of a team. And you want to see people play for your team who are good from everywhere, but you really love those guys who come from those Columbus suburbs. You think of Josh Williams, who is one of our older players, older center back, but he is, what people say, Mr. Columbus. He grew up around the area, and he's played with this team, I think, on 2 different stints, and he just breathes for this city. So he's getting older up there, but when you see those guys who have connections to the place they're playing for, it means that much more to see them succeed and see them play, and especially for Josh Williams, see him win championships like he did in 2020.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that is brilliant. That's what it's all about, I think. Okay, a couple of quick fire ones before we finish up. Who's going to win MLS this year? Who's going to get the cup?
I gotta say, I think I'm gonna go a little too basic here, but I'm gonna say LAFC, because I just think they really invest in their squad, and what we're seeing this year, I think they're gonna be pretty decent. CONCACAF Champions League might take a little bit out of them at the beginning of the year. They're still fighting in that, but I think in the end, they're still bringing in people. They just bought in a youngster from Leeds. So,
yes,
they
indeed.
got him coming in, and I really feel like they're going to keep building. And I think Steve Cherundolo has done a great job, especially with the pressure he was put on last season, coming in with his poor record with the Las Vegas Lights. I don't know if you heard about that, but a lot of people had questions about him. And he proved them
no,
wrong.
I know the Lights as a team. I have one of
Yes.
their jerseys, but it's yeah, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so he coached the Las Vegas Lights. That was his, I think, one of his only like head coach positions. And I think I can't remember exactly, but he had a record like 1 win and 11 losses, or maybe it was even worse than that.
Wow.
And LAFC went on and brought him in, so everyone was saying, oh, I don't know how this is going to look for the future. And he delivered MLS Cup in year 1. So it's kind of a easy pick. I'm trying not to rustle any feathers with any of the supporter groups out there, but I'll take LAFC to win.
No, I don't blame you. It's hard to look beyond them with how well they are doing at the moment. And I suppose Philly would have the number 2 last year, and they're faltering a little this year. So yeah, it could be an easier run for them, but we shall see. Who's going to be the top scorer?
Top scorer, well, I think if Jordan Morris can continue what he's doing,
Wow,
he has
sensational.
5 or 6 goals in these first 6 weeks. So it seems like Seattle's system and him coming back from all these injuries he's had to suffer, he's really popping off. So I'll take another one to kind of not rustle the feathers. Take the guy who's already in the lead. I'll pick Jordan Morris.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't blame you at all on that one. Yeah, he's looking like a really on fire player at the moment. And obviously talk of the US men's national team maybe calling for him again. Yeah,
maybe. It would, I think, break a lot of hearts on USMNT Twitter. I don't know if you're around USMNT Twitter at all, but they are a feisty bunch, and they do not take roster selections easy. So if he gets in there, I just want to see him succeed.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I don't blame you. And who do you think is the best player in the league?
Best player in the league, it's hard to look past Hani Mukhtar, who's picked up MLS MVP last year and really has carried Nashville on his back, through these last two seasons where the rest of their team's been, a little bit rougher, but he's been that shining star. Other than him, if you're looking at strikers, it's really difficult to say. I think there's a lot of guys up there, but I look at the guys who are a little bit, maybe under that first layer, but like Michael Ura and Mikel Ura and Julian Carranza from Philadelphia Union. I mean, they're a great duo. So, I wouldn't say they're the best player, but they're one of those dark horse players that you maybe don't expect. But I think Hani Mukhtar has to be the king at the moment. And then you look at other playmakers too, Zella Rayon, Carlos Heel. Those guys are top guys. Ricky Puig, however you want to pronounce it. He's another one of those guys who can be very influential on their squad.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I can't argue with that either. That's fantastic. So just before I finish up, in case anybody, and I don't know how you would, has found me but not you on MLS YouTube, tell everyone where they can find you.
So you can find me on my YouTube channel, which is just my name. It's Anthony LaRosa, and go on there. And again, I have a Soccer in the States series, which is something that we talked about earlier, where I visited places like Charlotte, Nashville. I did a video for Columbus with the USMNT, and now St. Louis. So I think that's one of the biggest things I want to promote for everyone. But go on there. I talk about everything MLS. I just released a video about Thiago Almada, so I'm doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
More documentaries type videos too, where I'm just telling storylines from the history of the league. So anything you want, I feel like you're sure to find something on there that might tickle your fancy.
Oh, I found so much. I'm still playing my way through because it is all gold. I have to say, I'm so impressed with it. So yeah,
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All those links will be down in the description as well for anybody watching, so you can get straight to there as well, and then go and subscribe to Anthony. But all that remains for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, I love what you're doing too. You popped up in my feed a few times, even before you reached out to me about this. So I love that. A lot of people maybe in Europe look down on MLS, but not you. You're very interested in it. You're taking it all in, and I just love to see that, because I think that's one of the big steps we have to make as a league is interest people who aren't from the United States and it is an interesting kind of project that's going on here, and I love what you're doing, and you're spreading the news, and it's great stuff. And I really appreciate all the interviews you do and really doing deep dives on all these teams and everything. So, for you, everyone, if you aren't subscribed to Tom here, Tom Discovering MLS, you got to make sure you subscribe to him, and you don't have to put a link in the description, because you just scroll down and click that red button and you'll be subscribed. So, I love what you're doing too. And I really appreciate you, reaching out to me to, come on here and just chat about the league.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on, and yeah, thank you very much for that. I do absolutely love the league, and just from starting to have a look into it, it's just absolutely fascinated me. And I know there's a few people who got in touch with me, Brits over here, who've just gone, I had a passing interest, but I didn't really know where to start, and now this is it. So this is who that's for, really. So
amazing.
It's absolutely love it. So good stuff. No, thank you again. It's been really good to see you, and we shall see you next time, hopefully.
All right, thank you.